Hello, greetings once again. My name is Evangelist Stell. What I'm going to be talking to you today, today's lesson we're going to talk about is about communication, the power of communication. And that you understand knowing that a majority of problems that people are going through right now today has a lot to do with communication. Not just outward communication, but communication from within. How you interpret things and how it comes to the outside. First of all, let's look at the definition of communication. The definition of communication is this. In the verb tense, it's to give information about something to someone by speaking, writing, moving your hand, etc. To get someone to understand your thoughts or feelings. To communicate in the transitive verb, it says to convey knowledge of information about, make known, to reveal, by clear signs. It says 3, to cause to pass from one to another, to receive communion, to transmit information, thought, or feeling so that it is satisfactorily received or understood. Two sides failing to communicate with each other would be the opposite. It says 3 is to open into each other. So to communicate is very powerful because a lot of people are in trouble right now within and without kind of communication. The communication, people could have been started off with proper communication, raised up in a good home. But then you get a hold of a bad situation, a circumstance, or event, and next thing you know, the communication can turn sour. Now, what makes that communication sour is this here. Is it one that's communication one that's going to make you feel free and happy, to want to reveal and share it with somebody else, to allow people to understand your thoughts and feelings? Because I could have got hold of a bad situation, and guess what? Now I don't want to reveal my thoughts or my feelings to anyone. I don't think that they're worth it because I'm looking at them through yesterday's lens, and guess what? I can be communicating today's agenda with the yesterday hurtful mindset, and that's even caused a lot of drugs and alcohol to problems to come in effect because of lack of communication skills, lack of revealing that I am really still hurt behind some emotional traumatic event that happened. And guess what? My communication skills, and guess what? Then I start identifying with other people and just communicate with people who's going through the same problems. And the scary thing about that is that when I'm hanging around people with the same problems and we are there sharing the same problems, but we're not coming to a solution. Because there is a solution to all this. Your higher power can help you communicate. My higher power, Jesus Christ, helps me communicate within some of the stuff that I don't want to look at and understand, but I have to accept and keep moving forward. Now, there's parts of communication. There are 4 parts of communication. The first part is I think. And when I think, that means I use that as a correlation to a seed. At seed time. You know, in the mind, there is where your thought processes take place in seed area. Even biblically speaking, in Proverbs 23:7, it says, whatsoever a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. So, and the word so means to the extreme. So I might think that it might be something small, but when I'm thinking and putting in my heart, and when I'm thinking in my mind, especially about myself, I should always not consider that a small thing, because everything small can start to grow. So thinking is seed time. And the main thing about this here is this is where your identity conflict is there, is that it comes in hand. Because it says I think. And I have to be honest with myself and say, am I thinking my own thoughts, or am I thinking the way I was taught to think by somebody else? Am I just kind of like going to church religiously? Am I going because of going to AA or anything religiously or traditionally? Am I going because I'm wanting help out of it, or am I going because of somebody else's seed process that's still in my mind? So it says I think, and that's a question today, because there are a lot of people out there that have identity conflicts and don't even know that they're still not thinking for themselves. They're thinking about through the lenses of the past. So you have to think. I think. And it says I think. Am I thinking? Not Big Mama, not what my uncle or my jefe or my cousins or think, but am I thinking? What am I thinking in my seed time? Because that has a lot to do with my communication. And then me knowing later on in life that I'm putting out false identification and false information because it's not even me that's thinking yet. I'm thinking from somebody else's standpoint. So that's your seed time. That's why it's so important what you put in your mind and what you think on every day. Even in the Bible, it says that Paul said to casting down in 2 Corinthians 10:5-6, it says that casting down imaginations and every high thing that exalted itself against the knowledge of God, and bringing every thought into captivity under the obedience of Jesus Christ. So the thing is right there is that I can be thinking wrong, and wrong thoughts, I can't stop thoughts from coming in my head. They're going to come. I can't stop them. I can stop the result of those thoughts coming in my head. I have that authority. My mind, nothing can take away my joy. Nothing can take away my authority over my thought process. And I have to discern whether the thought that I have inside of me is it one that's going to lead to a prosperous outcome or to a negative outcome. So I think it's very important. What are you thinking today? And mainly is this here with your identity. How do you really feel and think about yourself? How do you look in the mirror at yourself? Where are you at in life right now? Do you see yourself? Do you think of yourself as think that you are a failure, or do you think that you are an overcomer and a champion? It all starts in your thought life. Everything you're looking at out here in the world, buildings and airplanes, technology, everything, bodybuilders, people that do things, it started off in the mind, somebody's mind first. So you could be the next millionaire out there, potential millionaire, and the only thing that's stopping you from it is how you think about yourself and your thought processes every day. Ooh, that's deep. So let's go to number 2. Number 2 is I feel. And in that state is going to come either these kind of feelings. You can see that it's mature and immature feelings are going to come your way. How do you know if a feeling is immature? A feeling might be immature when it keeps getting you into trouble. A feeling might be insecure. It's going to be insecure if it hurts somebody else. Now, I'm talking about a hurt, because some people feelings get hurt from the truth, from people telling them the truth about it. But I'm talking about where it's maliciously. Those are immature feelings. What's immature feelings? When it leads me back to self-destruction. When it leads me back to self-destruction thoughts. When it leads me back to self-destruction. It has a lot to do with my identity. So when I first step of me thinking, my next step is how do I feel about it? Because in my feelings, in my emotion area, that is what gets me to doing negative things. That is what gets me to doing drugs and alcohol. This is what gets me to those. That's like the gasoline that's on the fire of like which way do I go? Which way do I go? So my feelings, I have to keep under control. And it's good that you have a higher power or some type of morality. Like mine, I keep telling you, mine is Jesus Christ and the Bible. It keeps me to the point to where when my feelings get out of whack, that if my feelings do not, I need to grab a hold of my feelings and bring them back to the Word of God. And I measure it and see if those feelings are going to keep me in a positive state or it's going to lead me to a negative state. Because remember, my feelings can make me feel like justify something wrong and make it right. All I have to do is put enough pressure on it or put enough conviction on it, and I can justify wrong and make it right out of anything. I feel hurt, guess what? I can go ahead and hurt somebody else. Because why? That's the way I feel. And guess what? And then I feel that way. Now, not to say and negate that you don't have feelings, okay? If you are hurt and you are hard pressed, you have a right to express your feelings. Express your feelings in a positive way and by communicating. That's where you can find a good accountability partner, somebody that you can confide in, or your wife or a good friend. Make sure that who you do confide in is not some type of cupcake brother or cupcake sister that's gonna be, yeah, yes sir, yeah, oh yeah, I feel you, yeah, you should. No, you need an accountability partner that's gonna tell you no. That's not scared of your looks. That's not scared of that you don't intimidate. That you don't intimidate, and they're gonna tell it to you whether you like it or not, and they still love you in the end. That's true accountability. But it's communication. So mature versus immature. You can build upon a mature feeling, and it can go skyrocket you, and then you can build on an immature feeling, and it can deflate everything about you. But it's still, my feelings are going to come out of my thinking area. It links to my thinking area. I think and I feel. Those are the two areas that the most, because the next area that's going to come about is this here. We go to step 3 now. And that area there is first it was I think, number 1. 2 is I feel, immature versus mature. Number 3 is I need. Now I turn it to a need. It turns into a need. Understand? So, and that is what cravings and urges will come in there. And that is like the gasoline really on the fire right there. Because once you get to the need part right there, you have to, it's almost like these first 3 will help you. First 3 will determine where you're going. Because you only got one more step left after that. And this is all 4 parts of communication. I need. And some of us, if we're needing things out of a negative connotation in life and can't be corrected by nobody and don't want correction, my need can turn into a negative thing. And as I need, guess what happens? I need beer. I need alcohol. I need different women. I need things that's not going to benefit me. And that's where I start craving these things. And once I start craving them, that means I'm putting more reinforcement on those things right there. Now, to crave something means that I'm at a point where when I'm at a point to where I need a craving is a negative even drugs or whatever, porn or whatever. A craving means I want it. It's a want. To crave is to want something. Want something in my thoughts and feelings area. So this is where identity has to be. This is where I have to be very serious about myself and be honest with myself. This is where integrity comes in, because a lot of us have wound up and still in negative stuff because we have not been honest with ourselves, and our thought life and our feelings have led to cravings that have been self-destructive to us. And guess what? As we are self-destructive to us, guess what? We become self-destructive to other people, because you have to live around people. You're not in this, and that's what we're going to get into later on, where I talk about community and communicating. But right there, so I need, my craving means is a wanting, a negative, anything that I want or thought in my want, in my wanting, in my thought, in my feeling process. And it depends on what seed that I have in me already. Again, it depends on what seed I got. I want it. But guess what? Then the next step is in the urges area. Now the urge means that now I done stepped from wanting to seeking. So now when I'm seeking, that means, you know, seeking ye shall find. That can be even in the negative. If I want to seek negative things, guess what? I'm going to find them, because that's what I'm pouring my power and my personal energy into. That might be reinforced inside. See, everything that's going on, even in a car, when you drive a car, it can look pretty on the outside, but it's not going to run unless of what's up under the hood and on the inside of it can handle. And what kind of work and what kind of quality is going on the inside of under that hood. So I'll pose this question to you. What's up under your hood as a human being? What's up under your hood? What's up under your personal feelings? Are you still, what kind of thought life do you have? These 4 parts of communication. You can catch it in the thinking side. You can catch it in the feeling. And let me tell you something. A thought is there for a reason. A thought is there, whether negative or positive, it's there for you to make a choice to choose which one you want to go ahead and play out. And I've been a victim of playing out negative thoughts for many of my lifetime, playing them out. I didn't catch a lot of them, but as I get older, I catch them. That's called maturity. I start catching those negative thoughts. I start catching, because I know that I'm either going to lead myself into a victory, or I'm going to lead myself into a crash course and turn into a crash course dummy. And I don't want to be a crash course dummy no more. I heard a saying that it said, there's no fool worse than an old fool, because you can't tell an old fool nothing, I heard. They got it all together. They got their tradition. They got every way to keep and stay the way they want to be, with all the negative in spite of and everything that's going on and bad and calamity that's going on in their life. They're still justified and blame somebody else and not want to fix the problem and get to the point of saying, guess what? I've been like this for this long. Guess what? Why do I want to change now? Which is a wrong mentality to have. So now when I'm in the urges now, urges is saying this. I'm going for it. The gun done popped in the race. Bam. The gun done popped. Boom. Now I'm taking off with the baton. So once you get into the urges area, this is where you pray that your thought life, your feelings life, and your need life is positive. And if you need help and reinforcing to see if that life is positive, that part is positive, and don't know, because some people don't know, ask someone. And can you stand to be corrected as well? If biblically speaking, they say a person that don't want to be corrected is considered brutish. So now that leads us to number 4. And that's this word right here. I get that right up there. I can read that. Number 4 is I do or act, which equals up to consequences. Consequences. Number 4, I do or act. Consequences. You know that word, as we say it and we hear that word, it sounds like a negative thing. But depending on the first 3 and me really catching myself, 3 steps, and me really wanting to catch myself and change on this journey of change that I want, if I've been doing it negatively. Consequences and doing and actions do not have to be negative. You can have good consequences out of this. There could be good consequences, but it still depends on my foundation of my thought life and my feelings life. Consequences. We all are a product of a consequence. Some good, some bad. I've had personal consequences where I've lost a lot of things, lost a lot of friends, lost a lot of loved ones out of selfishness, out of my wrong thought patterns, out of my wrong feeling patterns, and I have had some negative consequences. But guess what? When I turned it around and did like the prodigal son and came to myself, I started getting good consequences. Consequences that matters. Consequences where it can help people, just like this video can be able to help you come out of negativity and turn it around for positive. Because you do have the power to change. Nobody can. If you want to change, there's nothing more powerful than a made up mind. I have not had drugs or alcohol in my system since June 17th of 1994. So that means this is 21 years this month. 21 years. And that's because I came in this thing and came out of prison and out of my mental prison first. Yes. Everything in the physical has something to do with the inner man. Have you noticed the doing actions is number 4, but it started from the inner man of the thinking process of the things that you can't see. That is where you're going to need faith the most. So guess what? I came out of my inner prison. There's a lot of people out here in this world that is in an inner prison. They are in a cycle. They don't know how to come out of it. They don't know how to communicate with themselves yet positively. Because if you can't communicate positively with yourself, loving your neighbor as yourself, how are you going to be able to communicate properly and be legit with it with somebody else? Yeah. So consequences. It can be negative, but guess what? And a lot of them are. But that does not mean that that's the end. They can turn around for the positive, depending on how bad that you want it. And sometimes it's going to take confrontation of yourself, confronting yourself, admitting that you weak, walking around acting like you all strong and strong-willed and tough and all that, and you're losing everything around you, including your mind. Some days you feel like it. So once you get on this journey of change right here, it's going to take a whole lot of confrontation. And the main confrontation that you're going to have to battle is the confrontation of self, to kill the enemy that's in you. You can be a good minister out there, you can be a good oratory speaker and have a great gift of doing all these things, but yet think 0% of yourself. Behind resentments, behind things that happened in the past, behind letting the voice that happened in the past determine your outlook of your future, letting outside circumstances dictate your insides, which should not be. Because everybody else is sad out there and mad. That don't mean you got to be. You don't have to roll with the crowd no more. Because why? You picking up a brand new I, quote unquote, I identity. And I couldn't do it without my higher power, Jesus Christ. I don't know who yours is, but you need some power to get it done. Now let's talk about communicating now again. To communicate, I gave you the definition already, give you a small bit of it again. Is to convey knowledge or information about, make known. To give information by someone to something to someone by speaking, writing, moving your hands, etc. So we see it has a lot to do communicating with speaking, writing, moving, motions, emotions. Those are the way we communicate. We have different forms of communication. That's non-verbal communication, and those non-verbal communications can be more detrimental than verbal communications. There's some people right now that still have stuff on their mind, or can see looks of their parents or feelings, non-communication scar them up worse than communicating. So right here, to communicate, that's what that means. But check this out. First thing I have to realize personally is this word right here. Commune. And guess what? With the commune, y'all get that commune. I take that personally. How do I personally commune with myself every day? How do I personally commune with myself every day? How do I feel about myself? How do I think about myself every day? Sometimes you have to go against the laws of your negative gravity that's been in your mind for years. And we'll get to that in a minute, but commune. I have to commune. I'm communing with myself. I'm talking to myself. I call it self-talk. How do I think about myself? My self-talk. Because if I rest my commune, how I commune on somebody else, what if they fail me? And I put all my energy and my efforts in because my communication and my communing was from their point of view. Then when I lose them or they gone, I crash and burn. Because I realized that I had not learned how to commune with myself yet. Yeah, I know people tell you talking to yourself is crazy. It's kind of a sign of a crazy man. But guess what? That's because when they see you talking out loud. But what if people see you talking positively about yourself? Talking to yourself positively. You think they're going to think you really that crazy? Well, some people will. The haters that will hate themselves and don't commune with themselves, they're going to think you crazy because they're going to think, because misery going to love company and they're going to want you to be negative just like them. So commune. I have to readjust the way I commune with myself if I have been communing negatively. Now, if I realize that the way I've been communing with myself is negatively, I am going to have to go through a process. Did you hear what I said? Process. So the word process means not overnight. This is not an overnight thing that I have to do. It's going to take some time. You know, Rome wasn't built in a day. Our commandments and our government that we have on our shoulders was not built in a day. It came through a whole lot of tried and proven, so we say, quote unquote, experiences that didn't happen. So I have to go through there it is. See that word? Sorry about that. Communion. Number 2, communion. This is a 3-step process right here. Communion. Now, in church, communion means, from the biblical aspect, in partaking of the body of Christ. We give the bread, which is his body, and we drink for cleansing. Yeah, for cleansing. We asking God to help us cleanse this stuff out of us. But the main thing about it is that when they get that bread, they always say they break the bread and then they put it in their mouth and then they put the juice and they drink it. Communion is a form of breaking. I have to realize if my communication has been negative, I have to go through a breaking process. Break any leavened bread that's inside of me. Conversations, experiences from the past, attitude. My attitude might need breaking. My heart might need breaking because it's been so hard that I might need a spiritual jackhammer to go through this thing and break it. Communion is saying that some of you that's listening to this video right now may realize, man, I need a real communion of breaking in the way I've been communicating to a lot of people out here in this world. Even my non-verbals, even when I keep my mouth shut, people can still read negative. Do you know what it means to have an attitude is this? How do you know when somebody got an attitude? They don't have to say one word to you, and you know they have an attitude. It's in their non-verbal. And non-verbals are just as powerful. I've seen non-verbals when I was locked up to where people was about to riot, and just by looking at their non-verbals gave me enough sense and knowledge to get out of the way. And then they go and fight and want to kill each other and tear each other's head off. So even your non-verbal communication, I bet you some of y'all right now can see some non-verbals from your family members or somebody that you can remember to this day, that look, that motion. With communion, instead of that speaking, that motion of their hands or whatever, did all the speaking, and it still left the negative in your mouth or impact on you that you already know what it was or what it meant. So that's where you got to confront. If you know you need communion, go through the breaking process, because when you do that, you will better your communication with others. Hate can be replaced with love. Negative can be replaced with positivity, depending on what I got in my seed area up there in my mind. Communion. So guess what? Now that I done went through the communion, some people communion process might be going to jail. Some people communion process might be getting out of a relationship, breaking up relationships, negative relationships that keep that type of and enforces that type of behavior. I don't know what your communion process that you got to break yourself from, or who you got to break yourself from, or what you got to break yourself from. But you know deep down inside it's something that needs to be broke. And you've been dealing and you've been struggling with it. But now you want to go into it with a made up mind. And guess what happens? When you go into it with a made up mind, you will get results. If you made up your mind when you was negative and got results, got the results that you did, just imagine you reversing that curse and you reversing that to positive measures. Just imagine the power that you would have. If you saw power manifested negatively, guess what? There's going to be power manifested positively. And if you can't go into the battle with the I can't help it, I don't know, I just can't do it. Can't ain't a word. You got to go in there with I can. My personal I can is I can do all things through Christ which strengthens me. What is your I can? I don't know what your I can is, but I can tell you this. There is an I can in you, because you was canning doing the negative things so you can doing the positive things. You just need a change in your direction, which I'm hoping that these videos will help you in your parts of communication. Now the last one, number 3, is this here. I done commune personally, realizing I need to change and break myself with the communion. Guess what? I broke myself. Now I forgot to tell you on the second one was communion was to break habits. And number 3 is what? Community. Community. For others. Now I'm ready to be back redistributed to others now in a better way, in a positive way, not a negative way. And now I can put the seeds of rebellion and the seeds of negativeness from my thought process, my feelings process, my needs process, and my consequences can turn around for the good. See, in the scripture, the Bible say the healthy don't need a physician. It's the ones that know that they sick. And I can tell you right now, I wake up every day knowing that I have the potential to go back to that sickness. I am not immune to going back. The only thing that keeps me from it is that my drive, my actions, my convictions, my past experiences that I went through, is that I want to move forward. And so as I want to move forward, that is what keeps me going. So I am no different. I just got to wake up with the same mindset and remind myself, does it get tiring? Yes, it does. You know, I've been sober for 21 years. Do you think that I don't get the urge to want to drink or do a drug? That it don't pop up in my mind, because I have no control of what thoughts come to me. You have no control of what thoughts come to you, but you do have control of what thoughts you have stay in you. And I saw all that I lost from it and said, this is not worth it. So communication. And I hope this helped you out, because we need some people, new people in the community. See, God is not into throwing things away. He in the restructuring and rebuilding and rehabilitation and redeeming and restructuring and renewing mindsets. He's on the not on the decline. He wants you to recline and rest in the new you. And all it takes is a made-up mind, a powerful mindset, and serious accountability. So what today's lesson, what we talked about, the 4 parts of communication, which is I think, I feel, I need, I do or act. That leads, I think is in the seed process. I feel in the weighing out the maturity versus the immaturity. The I need, what drives me is my drive and my motivation. My cravings and urges is my motivation. And I do or act, which is my consequences. And then number 4, the other one is the 3 communication. 3 personal parts of communication as well, to communicate how to effectively know in the process that I'm in. And that is what? To commune personally, communion, break habits, and community. To be ready to help out the community. So are you ready for a journey of change? I hope this video helps you. God bless you. Until we meet again, take care and be blessed.